columnists and radio show hosts, especially fans of a particular topic that I'm talking about. But I do favor the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, and I'm going to tell you why. Because of the amount of popularity they've received, especially over the last 5 or 10 years, how many media appearances they make in the run of a year, and how supportive they are of their team most of all, are some of the reasons why I love the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders as much as I do. And just by seeing the amount of work ethic and teamwork they put into routines to make themselves NFL cheerleading champions and noticed by NFL fans as much as they've become noticed over the last, I'm going to say 10 to 15, even 20 years, those are some of the biggest reasons why I favor the NFL cheerleading team of the Dallas Cowboys. There are a lot of dedicated cheerleading teams for various NFL teams, like the Giants and the New England Patriots. Definitely, they're very dedicated to their teams. We saw that at a recent NFL Super Bowl. We're going to be seeing it this year for the two teams that are represented at the 2013 Super Bowl. And I'm really looking forward to finding out how the cheerleading teams represent their teams that are competing for the NFL championship. But I mean, you look at the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders and how much work they put into their routines and how much publicity they're receiving and representing their team. Not only in their interviews are they talking about their routines and their training regimens to various talk show hosts, but they're also talking about their team and how proud they are to be representing them at NFL games. You never really see that same kind of passion from NFL cheerleaders. You see it in the way of routines, and you see it in the way of how they represent themselves at the games with the cheers and everything, but you never hear them talking about how proud they are to be a cheerleader of a Pacific team when an opportunity arises to make a media appearance on the behalf of the team, like the New England Patriots or the Giants. I wish we had that same kind of support that comes from the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders for their team, for the New York Giants or the New England Patriots. If we had that same kind of support, I think the NFL cheerleaders would be receiving a lot more attention. Now, a lot of guys of professional sports will be giving cheerleaders attention. That's to be expected because of the male gene and hormone structures. But I just wish, we saw more positive columns written about NFL cheerleaders. I just wish we saw more commentary given to the routines, and I think that if we had more attention given to NFL and NBA cheerleading, we would have a better review, all in all, for the entertainment side of professional sports, because it's not all about the action, and it's not all about injuries and things that are documented in the game. It's also about the entertainment aspect, because over the last, I'm going to say about 30 years, professional sport has become about entertainment along with all the action that's provided. We also see it in a lot of combat sports in 3 specific areas, like professional wrestling, boxing, and the UFC, that are promoting the fact that sex sells by distributing these girls who oftentimes wear the most scandalous of clothing and do the most provocative things. But that's what professional sports has really evolved into, is an area that not only exemplifies, athletic ability and sportsmanship, but it also has come into an era now where promoting the fact that sex sells is a big thing, and we see it a lot, especially in the UFC, that promotes real cage fighting along with sex. We see it a lot in professional wrestling with the expansion of women's wrestling, and we see it a lot in boxing with the ring girls. I just wish that we would kind of get away from the fact that sex sells, especially in the NBA and the NFL, get away from all the negative publicity and start talking about the dedication and work ethic that cheerleaders put forth for their routines. If we give them the acknowledgement that they're striving to achieve, then I think we would get more positive columns written for sports websites, and we would get better reviews on radio shows, and I think that cheerleading would get the respect that it deserves. One of the biggest reasons why I'm distributing this video blog on my YouTube channel for a brief amount of time is to kind of raise awareness as to what's happening here. I think we're coming into an era now where cheerleading regimens and routines are getting better and better and better and more difficult to pull off. We're seeing teams of cheerleaders band together to perform the most authentic and different routines, very different from routines we would see back in the 1950s and 1960s, because believe me when I tell you, cheerleading especially has come a long way, especially in high school with the cheerleading competitions that come around every year. You're probably a cheerleader that's clicked on this on YouTube, and I want to tell you on youtube.com/JonathanClarke22 that I support what you do, and I do wish you all the best of luck in your upcoming cheerleading competitions that you will be taking part in. I think that high school cheerleading is a big thing too, because we see a lot of teamwork, especially from high school cheerleaders, not only at games where they're providing their teams with the support they need to win a championship or a specific honor, but we see it a lot at cheerleading competitions where they enter the cheerleading competitions under the name of their school's team, and they perform the most authentic cheerleading regimes. But I think one of the biggest things about these cheerleading regimes and routines is the amount of work ethic and teamwork that's needed to pull off these routines. You see the strongest girls be the base of the assemblance, and you see the most athletic and agile be the ones that are thrown up in the air to pull off the most authentic and unbelievable cheerleader maneuvers that you will see at competitions. And the best are selected to go away with championships and specific honors. And I think the acknowledgement they receive and the amount of attention they receive is absolutely astonishing. I just wish the same kind of acknowledgement and support was given to cheerleading teams we see in the NFL and NBA, because if we saw that, then we would at least be on the way to correcting a fault of professional sports organizations, and that fault is the fact that they're not giving the cheerleading teams the acknowledgement that they're very deserving of. If you haven't figured it out, I'm a big supporter of cheerleaders, because I think a lot of radio show hosts and a lot of columnists don't give cheerleading the attention that it deserves. And I think that if a lot of columnists and radio shows kind of band together and formed, a Facebook group or a Twitter cult or something like that, I think that we would have a lot of support given to cheerleading that's been missing from what cheerleaders give to specific sports for years. And really, this kind of thing has been missing from professional cheerleading for years and years and years and years and years, because they do a lot for specific teams they represent, charitable functions, media appearances. I mean, they're working pretty much as hard as the players are for the teams that they're representing, honestly, in the way of media appearances. Sure, they don't go out there and they don't get injured at a game that they're cheering for. They don't get acknowledged as much as sports players do for the NFL or the NBA, but I think their contributions are just as big as the players of a specific team. Yes, 10 to 15 players are given more acknowledgement than cheerleaders. That's to be expected, but I mean, you really need to have someone put in perspective for you what they're doing to really understand they are doing just as much as the players of the team. And you really have to sit back and really realize and understand what they're doing. And it's not, I'm not saying that cheerleaders don't have a chance of being injured either, because injuries to cheerleaders oftentimes do happen, especially at these cheerleading competitions. We see oftentimes anywhere from 3 to 4 major injuries and high school cheerleading competitions that are often difficult to come back from and rebound off of. And I also think, going along with injuries, especially with high school cheerleading, the process of rehabilitation is a big thing that oftentimes isn't given enough credit for. And oftentimes we see cheerleaders come back more focused, more determined, and better than they ever have been after a rehabilitation process from an injury, which is very difficult to come back from. We don't see a lot of it in the NFL and the NBA, because there's not a lot of pressure put on cheerleaders to perform routines because they're so used to it. But we do occasionally see it, and it's never acknowledged in the way of commentary. It's never given the respect and admiration that it's deserving of. And I just wish cheerleaders were given more acknowledgement, more so than in the way of a Super Bowl commercial or a commercial promoting something that's unbeneficial to their career. Being in a Pepsi commercial or a Coca-Cola commercial doesn't give a cheerleader enough justice or enough promotion. Sure, the commercial is seen by millions during the Super Bowl or the chase for the NBA pennant, but I mean, all in all, does it really give the cheerleader the acknowledgement and support they need? I think that we really need to start a Facebook group or some kind of Twitter campaign to promote the idea of professional cheerleading. I know that if you go on Google and YouTube, you'll find a lot of videos and you'll find a lot of write-ups of cheerleading and how phenomenal it is. And oftentimes the article is written or the video is posted by an avid supporter of cheerleading or their contributions. It's never posted by everyday fans. We see more videos from everyday fans, we see more articles from everyday fans, and it will go a long way in getting cheerleading into the position it's very deserving of being in. You can never have enough of that. Write more columns, post more videos on YouTube and Google Video, and we'll get one step closer to giving it the exposure it's very deserving of. Another thing that I want to see is more televised cheerleading events outside of the United States, because I've always been an avid follower and supporter of internationality. That is a big thing for me. You combine internationality with more televised cheerleading competitions, forgetting the women's basketball and the women's hockey, put that on the sidelines for a while, start televising cheerleading events both in the United States and outside of the United States, combine United States cheerleaders with Canadian cheerleaders and United Kingdom cheerleaders, and that will go a long way in giving cheerleading the exposure it deserves. Just to give you an idea of how some cheerleaders receive a lot more exposure than others, just a few days ago I saw a couple of YouTube videos that several YouTube users had posted describing this girl as the world's strongest cheerleader, because there was a lot of speculation and skepticism as to whether or not she was under the influence of steroids. Following all these rumors becoming noticeable, she did a couple of media interviews. You will not believe the visuals you will see and some of the comments that Anna Watson, the name of the cheerleader,